Well, when we started, we finally got our contract to do a series of shows for Comedy Channel. And we were setting up housekeeping out in Eden Prairie, and it became evident we had to bring in some support staff to help us write it. I mean, we were doing everything. You know, Jim was producing it on a real hands-on level. Kevin was doing things like hanging the lighting grid and lighting it. Trace built the set, the Satellite of Love. We all pitched in on the MADs. I did the things like the surface action all over the Satellite of Love set. And some of the miniatures, Trace built the Satellite of Love model. And Josh even did stuff like who's admittedly not a handy person. He hung the lights behind the moon, and we all got involved. And so it became really clear we needed help with filling riffs. We needed help writing riffs. And I asked Josh to let me know if he saw somebody, because he was still working the clubs and doing stand-up. And I said, is there anybody out there that you like? We went down to Williams Pub, which had an open stage night, which at that time in Minneapolis, there were tons of them. And there's this guy, Mike Nelson, and Mike was on stage. And open stage night, it's tough because you could have 10 people in the audience. I think it was really poorly attended. The thing about Mike is it didn't matter what the audience thought. It's like you could tell he was kind of amusing himself. It's almost like he wasn't, you know what it was? The thing I liked about him is he wasn't dependent on the audience's approval. He just was kind of doing it, and he knew he was funny. We kind of used that same method to find all our other writers. We'd find, it's like Mike brought in Bridget brought in Mary Jo, and Frank came in along the way. They're all like people they knew in the clubs, and so we found all, those people that way. It's almost like, instead of a top-down way of picking people, it's kind of bottom-up. So it's like, if you're the newest person, who do you think is funny? So that's kind of how we got everybody. So Mike started writing for us.
Hello, boys.
You Beaumont?
Oh, come on, call me Dad.
Geez, sir, Dad, what are you doing here?
Well, you see, boys, I'm one of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, and I come bearing a message of unholy death.
It just quickly became that Mike was the de facto guest. Anytime we wanted to put in a character, it would just be Mike. I mean, if you notice, we're not really dropping in anybody else in the writer's room into that spot. It's Mike. Mike's became the guy. He became the guy who, in each character. So that was always it. If we were writing, saying, Torgo's unbelievable, we gotta have him visit the Mads and deliver a pizza, it would just, I don't even think we discussed who it would be. I think we all knew it would be Mike.
Come in!
That was became this thing that emerged that just was based on how funny Mike was and how good he was at, how funny he was and good he was at doing characters.
Oh.
Now, thank you. I'll get your change.
I'll keep it.
I have to say, it's kind of like about pleasure, you know what I mean? When you're writing, when you're really making a show, it's really, the direction it goes is where your pleasure is, what makes you laugh, what do you want to see, what do you want to do? And so that kind of just is how it's realized. And so that was part of the pleasure in the room, is when Mike would do a character. And then it just became a thing like, oh, he's got to do that. He's the guy.
And then later on, Topol, that robust star of Fiddler on the Roof, will be out.
Frank, why are we off the air?
It wasn't as cut and dried as me leaving. Like, I really thought, it's tense here. I don't want to be on camera. I'm okay with someone else being on camera. I always intended to be replaced. I wasn't going to like keep doing it until I was an old guy. I wanted that. And so I was in a few conversations about it. And when I was thinking about it, I was kind of worried about just putting another white guy in there who kind of, what I would call a doughy Midwestern guy. Like, I was concerned about that, and I had this idea, like, well, what about Bridget? She's a great performer, really funny.
I'm Mr. B, natural, and I embody the spirit of music in you and you.
Could it maybe be Joel gets hit by a sex ray from outer space and becomes a woman? So it's still Joel, but it's a woman who's playing the part. So I pitched that. It didn't really go over. They didn't really want to do that. And they didn't say, oh, we're thinking about Mike. It wasn't really clear. Like, that didn't really emerge until later, and I was kind of out the door, and they kind of said, oh, we're thinking about Mike. And again, that was my only thing. Like, and in the scheme of things, they're kind of similar, really.
10, 9, Gypsy, could you please turn off these emergency lights? We've got this letter to read.
Sure. 1, expulsion! The hell is that?
Yeah, where's Joel?
If you think about it, when I was doing the host or the human on the Satellite of Love, it was really like going from the inception of the show and taking it to this level that was kind of, you know, we were successful, you know, so it was kind of this arc. Ultimately, at the end of it all, Joel's an authority because he's a human, and the bots would defer to him because robots are designed to serve people. And so that's why he has authority. But somehow there's some kind of affection in there. It's more like Dave Seville and the Chipmunks. It's like I'm trying to like rein them in and trying to teach them stuff.
Hey guys, look at me. I'm on my way to Earth. Pretty crazy, huh?
What about us?
Yeah.
What are we supposed to do without you? Who's gonna teach us about what it is to be human and stuff?
Listen, you guys, at this point, you guys know as much about it as I do.
My observations about Mike, after I left, I think he had to kind of feel like I have to demarcate what's different now. I have to kind of have a different take on it. I don't want to do it just like Joel did it.
Hi guys, what's up?
Well, Servo's buying a duplex in Philadelphia. It's a real drive-by cutie.
Wow, that's a terrific idea. I'll tell you why, because you can take party... Wait a minute, how?
There were people in the writing room who had seniority over Mike. There was Kevin and Trace. Kevin and Trace, you know, were shareholders and best friends. They were Mike's bosses. And so I think they kind of took that and made that more like they started to rib Mike a little bit and tease Mike a little bit. And that's all really natural. Do you know what I mean? That's really like a great way to go where he's more equal, because they really were. You know, Mike's coming up and he's got Trace on one side and Kevin on the other side, and they're like giving him trouble. And so I thought it was a really clever way to go and different than the way I did it.
Where do I sign for my big old refund?
Oh, right on the exit.
Refund? You're getting a refund?
Yeah, Tom says $20,000.
$20,000?
Right, you wanted me to roll half of that over into your 401k, right?
401?
Yeah, you could do that, or we talk about T-bills, maybe Jenny May.
Ooh,
whatever you think is best, all right?
In some ways it really tracks though, because we're all writer performers. So it does totally track that, you know, Mike was a head writer and he would graduate into that spot. I totally get that thinking now, and it really fit. But again, there was like those flame wars of Joel, Mike, Joel, Mike, Joel, Mike, and maybe that could have been avoided if that was more elegant. But again, you know, what can you say? It worked.
Okay, thanks, Carl. I think everyone's heard enough. I think we all get the point.
Mike, I think I speak for all of us when I say, good one, Nelson.
I'm locking on my stock monkey. I'll give you that much for free.
Me personally.
The thing that I noticed is the transition from me doing it to Mike is really important, because it demonstrated that it works. It can handle that. The show can handle a transition like that from one host to the next. And they got through it and they thrived in it.
Must continue to read. Letter and Landers told me to.
I think evidence of that is, you know, we basically had the Kickstarter people rate the top 100 Mystery Science theaters. And the top 10, I mean, unless I'm remembering it wrong, there are almost 5 show episodes and 5 mic episodes. So that's just evidence that they really did it. You know, it really worked and they really figured it out.